Hello buddies. Welcome back to Quick Movie. Today I will explain 2022 the American thriller horror film Barbarian. In the beginning of the film we are shown evening, here a young lady named Tess arrived at this city for an amazing line of work. In each town she has leased a house for herself, however she fails to remember the keys to that house. That is the reason she calls the organization from which she leased this house and returns in her vehicle. So the organization can get her the keys, then she feels that there is somebody in that house. She returns to the house and thumps on the entryway and starts looking from the window. There was a kid in that house who opens the entryway and tells her that he has leased this house from an organization. Yet, that kid lets Tess know that he has additionally leased this house. Meaning the organization had leased this house to two individuals. It was pouring a ton outside, with the goal that kid advises Tess to come inside. Tess was additionally vulnerable, so she comes inside and starts actually taking a look at the entire house. So everything is good to go here. Now that kid shows her his papers from the organization from which she had leased the house. Tess lets him know that this house is yours, you can remain here. I sit in my vehicle and think something, however that kid says no, I won't generally approve of it by any means. Assuming that you can remain here this evening and begin making tea for him. Be that as it may, Tess was likewise searching for a space for herself. That kid tells her that you can't find any room at this moment. You do a certain something, remain here this evening. In the event that you can rest in my room. I will rest on the couch here. Presently when she goes to the room, she sees the satchel of the kid from which she snaps a photo of the ID card. Since, in such a case, that something turns out badly with her, she will have some confirmation. At the point when she emerges after washing, the kid was sitting with a container of liquor for her. On the off chance that you can sit with me. Very much as you didn't drink tea, don't drink it all things considered. Since I realize you have zero faith in me by any means. Presently, Tess was gradually starting to trust her. Tess sits with him and talks somewhat more. That she has come here for a task. What's more, subsequent to talking for some time, she nods off. Sooner or later, Tess feels that somebody has made the way for her room. She gets found and wakes. She feels that the kid will do nothing to her. Yet, when she sees him, he was dozing. Presently, she awakens the kid and asks him. Didn't you do that? What are you talking about? I was resting. Then, at that point, we see that there was another person in this house other than these two. Once more, presently, Tess falls asleep. At the point when she gets up in the first part of the day, she gets a paper composed by the kid. In which she composed that I am going out for work. We will meet at night. Tess additionally leaves for her meeting. Be that as it may, when she emerges from this house and sees every one of the houses around were broken. Implies nobody resided there aside from this house. What's more, she sees this as exceptionally bizarre. Then, at that point, she goes to meet her chief. Furthermore, her meeting was additionally excellent. Implies now she found a new line of work. At the point when her supervisor asks her where she is residing. Then, at that point, when she tells about this town and house. Then, at that point, manager says that spot isn't great in any way. You leave rapidly. At the point when Tess gets back home again in the wake of giving her meeting. So presently, she personally was terrified of the spot. At the point when she was going inside the house. Then a man comes there. That man was preventing her from going to this house. Yet, Tess gets terrified and comes inside. That man was telling her that pay attention to me. Come outside. She gets extremely frightened and calls the police. She chooses to take off from the house. Packs every one of her things. Then after some time when she improves. Then, at that point, she goes to the washroom. There was no tissue there. At the point when she goes to the cellar to get the tissue. Then the entryway there was shut without help from anyone else. What's more, her telephone was likewise outside. Presently, she was searching for an exit from there. Then, at that point, she sees a rope inside the wall. At the point when she pulls it. Then an entryway opens from that point. Implies there was one more mystery entryway here. She doesn't head inside. Clearly she was terrified. Since it was extremely dull there. In the wake of reasoning a great deal. She puts a mirror under the bulb. So the light can go inside through her eyes. Presently when she heads inside. Then she gets one more space inside. There was a bed, a camera and a can. Which was loaded up with blood. Seeing this, she gets extremely stressed, since there was a great deal of bizarre stuff here. Yet, now that kid additionally comes there. She advises him to open the storm cellar by calling him from the window. Presently when he comes and opens the cellar entryway, Tess was exceptionally terrified. Also, begins going out. However, that kid says, "What is wrong? You can let me know everything." She informs him regarding the room there, about the bed and the camera there. He says it's the cellar. "Okay, you pause. I'll check and come. In any case, you hang tight for me here. Since, supposing that the cellar entryway closes once more, then, at that point, the two of us will be caught. That is the reason you stand by outside." Presently, he heads inside. Yet, when that kid doesn't return for quite a while, Tess returns to the storm cellar to track down him. Furthermore, puts a seat on the entryway, so the entryway doesn't close once more. At the point when she comes inside. Then, at that point, this time, she tracks down another way. Implies there was one more way inside the cellar. She goes inside in dread. There she was hearing the voice of that kid, who was saying, "Kindly assistance me." At the point when she proceeds to see, there the kid tells her, "There is another person here, who has torn into me. We need to leave rapidly." Out of nowhere a weird lady comes there, who was exceptionally alarming. Also, hits that kid's head against the wall. What's more, kills him. Then, at that point, we see the entertainer kid in the story, who was heading off to some place. He gets a call. The kid who used to work with him in the film. He has denounced him. That he has gotten into mischief with him. That is the reason he is being eliminated from the film for a couple of days. Presently this entertainer kid, he was extremely stressed. He goes to his chief, who lets him know that you can't leave the city and go any place. Nor could you at any point work in any film at the present time, since that young lady had recorded a body of evidence against him. Presently, he becomes weary of this. Also, disappears to reside in his home. There was no other person except for him, where Tess and that kid used to reside. At the point when he sees their stuff. Then, at that point, he calls the organization. Also, inquires, "Did you give my home to somebody to reside in?" He says okay. "A couple of days prior we gave this house on lease." He says this and switches off the telephone. This was extremely abnormal. The proprietor of this house didn't have the foggiest idea that his home is on lease. Subsequent to switching off the telephone, he checks out at the storm cellar entryway, before which there was a seat, which Tess had kept. He eliminates it and shuts the entryway. Around evening time when he was extremely inebriated, he expresses sorry to that young lady, who had documented a body of evidence against him, and afterward nods off. Toward the beginning of the day he sees Tess and that kid stuff. Presently he was thinking that perhaps there is something in the storm cellar. At the point when he goes to the storm cellar entryway. Then, at that point, he feels somebody strolling. He gets terrified. And afterward with a blade and light, goes inside the storm cellar, where he sees a similar mirror, which Tess had put there that room as well, where the camera and bed were. He is extremely glad to see this. Also, in the wake of emerging, he begins estimating the length and width of this house. Also, thinks, there is a major cellar in this house. I can sell this house for a huge load of cash. And afterward, subsequent to returning, he begins estimating the length and width of that room. He tracks down like that, which Tess had seen. Seeing which he is much more blissful. Where the enclosures were likewise kept. At the point when he goes further, there he sees another room, in which there was a show on television. The most effective method to keep little kids. Then he sees something coming towards him. This was a similar lady, who had killed the kid with Tess. What's more, presently she additionally puts this entertainer kid in a mystery pit, where Tess deals with him. Indeed, Tess was as yet alive. Furthermore, was available in this storm cellar. Presently, we are familiar the old story of this house. For what reason was this occurrence? The genuine proprietor of this house, his name was Forthright. Presently, he gets a few things for child conveyance. After which he follows a woman. Furthermore, goes to her home. It is a handyman to say that he goes to that woman's home. Also, opens her windows. After which he returns to his home. Then his neighbor tells him that I am going out. Straightforward, says you go. I won't ever go from here. At the point when he opens the lock of the house, there were a ton of excruciating shouts, which were coming from the cellar. Presently, for what reason was this event? What was Candid doing in the storm cellar? We will know this in the story. The story comes back again in the present. We see Tess. Tess and that entertainer kid were still in the mystery pit. Tess says, "Don't fear me. Deal with yourself." Then that lady provides him with a container of milk. What's more, advises him to drink it. That entertainer kid doesn't do that. Tess expresses pay attention to her. What's more, behave like a kid. Then, at that point, you will be saved. However, he doesn't do that. Since Tess got it. That's what that assuming she does. Then, at that point, she will be saved from this lady. Be that as it may, the actor kid, who doesn't pay attention to her. Then, at that point, this lady takes him with her. She was acting with him as though he is a frightened young man. Also, left the entryway open. Exploiting this, Tess presently takes off from here. That lady was following her. In any case, she emerges from that mysterious cellar. What's more, attempts to break the window from the other cellar. Furthermore, attempts to get out. So a similar man helps her. Who prevented her from going to this house interestingly? Who prevented her from going to this house interestingly? At the point when Tess tells that man about that lady. Then that man says, "I know it all. If you have any desire to save yourself, then, at that point, go far away from here. Generally that lady will save you with her until the end of your life. Generally that lady will save you with her until the end of your life." However, Tess lets him know that another person is caught inside. Who needs my assistance? Now that man says, "See what you need to do." However, to escape from that lady around evening time. Since she emerges around evening time. Presently, Tess takes off from that point. Furthermore, arrives at a corner store. Also, calls the police. On the opposite side, we see the entertainer kid, who got away from that lady and came to the mystery room. There he likewise sees a great deal of garments. One of which was the dress of that woman. Which we saw. That honest went to his home and opened the window. The entertainer kid sees a ton of videotapes, on which the names of various young ladies were composed. On which the names of various young ladies were composed. There we likewise see old straight to the point, who was as yet alive. Also, was living in a similar storm cellar. Straight to the point asks that entertainer kid for water. Presently when this kid runs a videotape. Here we find out. We saw the room. There, straightforward, used to bring the young ladies. Also, used to gravely treat them. Also, used to make their recordings. What's more, alongside that he used to capture a ton of young ladies. Also, used to keep them secured in the enclosure. What's more, used to keep them secured in the enclosure. At the point when entertainer kid sees this in the video, he was feeling exceptionally awful. He feels that how might a man do such something terrible? He imagines that how might a man do such something terrible? Presently, he sees this and says that I am likewise awful. I have likewise fouled up with a young lady. Presently, Candid gets the firearm subsequent to seeing him. In the wake of seeing whom the entertainer kid got terrified. In the wake of seeing whom the entertainer kid got terrified. However, he commits suicide. However, on the opposite side. Police was not treating Tess' words in a serious way. Police was not treating Tess' words in a serious way. They imagined that this young lady is frantic. Furthermore, she is misleading us. Police disappears from here. Presently, Tess herself breaks the window of the house. What's more, brings the keys of her vehicle. At the point when she begins to go from here. Then that lady remains before her vehicle. Furthermore, attempts to get her. In any case, Tess kills her with the vehicle. What's more, goes inside the storm cellar to save the entertainer kid. Also, goes inside the cellar to save the entertainer kid. Then he was likewise emerging. What's more, with dread he fires straight to the point's firearm at Tess. What's more, with dread he fires straight forward's weapon at Tess. Feeling that she is the frantic lady before him, he deals with Tess and brings her out. Then, that man was additionally there. Who had prevented Tess from going to this house? Who had prevented Tess from going to this house? He takes her with him. Presently, he asks her, "Who is this lady? Also, what is it that she expects from us? The lady is in this house since 40 years. In any case, the entertainer kid says, how might this occur? This house is mine. That man expresses as indicated by the papers. This house will be yours. In any case, that house truly has a place with that lady's dad, whose name is straightforward. Here we come to realize that this lady is no other person. She was Plain's little girl, truth be told. Furthermore, Plain who used to do anything with young ladies. He used to bring them here. He used to bring them here. This lady was a horrible illustration of his work, which was Candid's discipline. Since around then, Candid's girl was an extremely little kid. Since around then, Candid's girl was an extremely little kid. Also, this discipline, straight to the point, got as his girl. What's more, this discipline forthcoming got as his little girl. In the wake of knowing this, they were both extremely shocked. The entertainer kid tells Tess that I need to take you to the clinic. Yet, that man says, not presently. That distraught and horrendous lady should wander all over the place. Be that as it may, she won't come here. However, that lady comes here as well. Also, kills this man. She got away from him and jumped on the water tank. However, the firearm in the hand of the entertainer kid. She tumbles down. Presently when this lady approaches them, he tosses Tess down. So her life is saved. Yet, that lady likewise hops behind Tess. Since she was considering him her girl. Be that as it may, the two of them become oblivious. At the point when the entertainer kid comes to them, he comprehends that she is dead. Be that as it may, Tess was as yet alive. At the point when he attempts to save her from the weapon, that lady likewise wakes up. What's more, kills this man. And afterward she begins adoring Tess. Seeing her it appeared that a mother cherishes her little youngster. In any case, someplace that lady was telling Tess that she ought to kill her. Since whatever was occurring with her today, was the consequence of her father, straightforward's terrible deeds. Tess would have rather not killed him. Yet, that's what she imagines. In the event that he doesn't kill her, then, at that point, her life will be surprisingly more terrible. That is the reason she shoots this lady. And afterward she leaves the town. What's more, with this the film story closes here. Thanks for watching. Please buddies subscribe for more videos like this and turn on notifications, leave a like to help the channel out.